So, the Sandman, from king of combos to a peasant buried by better weapons. Back in its heyday, this thing could wipe out 5 of the 9 classes immediately, and 2 others if given time for the bleed effect of the cleaver. But now it's kinda reduced to nothing but a downgrade when compared to the stock baseball bat. Or at least, that's the opinion of the majority of the Team Fortress 2 community. However, what I want to find out is if this weapon is actually still viable, despite the overwhelming negativity surrounding it. Could there actually be benefits to using this ball launcher? Or are the opinions of the masses still correct about this one? In this video, we'll be discussing the Sandman, its downfall, and if the weapon itself is still somewhat useful. So, let's discuss that. So, released as an unlockable in the Scout update of 2009, this wooden baseball bat with the ability to launch a ball was gifted to the budding TF2 community. And let me tell you, it was absolutely busted. While I wasn't around for this time, I've seen several clips as well as full-length videos discussing the dawn of the cylindrical nightmare fuel. With the ability to launch the fastest moving projectile in the game at 3,000 hammer units, or about 128 miles per hour? Yeah, holy sh**, Scout's got one hell of an arm. For reference, the real-world record of the fastest baseball hit is 122.2 miles per hour by John Carlos Stanton. Along with this, when compared to the Huntsman, there's a drastic difference in speed. Sniper can fire his arrows at approximately 2,600 hammer units, or about 111 miles per hour, meaning that Scout literally hits his baseballs faster than Sniper can shoot his arrows, which is crazy to think about. And if you're curious, the average arrow from a bow can travel 150 to 200 miles per hour, meaning the Sniper has below average strength. But where were we? Oh yeah, this thing was a stun-locking nightmare. With the ability to completely stop an enemy in their tracks, Scout had a very easy time picking off the biggest of what he deemed to be prey. Eventually, this full stop was nerfed, but honestly not by much at all. On December 17th, 10 months after this broken weapon was released, the complete stun lock effect was mostly removed and was replaced with sending the victim into a third-person fleeing state where they were slowed and couldn't attack for several seconds depending on how far the ball had hit them. I say the stun lock had mostly been removed because if a Scout were to hit a very long-range shot, or a moonshot, the enemy would be completely stunned like how they were prior to the patch. While stunning your opponent seems quite broken in a fast-paced shooter, it got even worse. In 2012, the flying guillotine was introduced and all hell broke loose. Scouts could now slow and stun enemies and send a 150 damage blade through their enemies' skulls. As I said in the intro of this video, this combo could immediately kill 5 classes and 2 more if the bleed lasted for its full length. 7 out of the 9 classes didn't stand a chance against a ball and a cleaver, and it stayed this way for 5 years. Enter 2017, the Jungle Inferno update. Wait, the Jungle Inferno update was 7 years ago? Whew, boy. Anyway, October 20th, 2017 was the day of reckoning for all Scout mains. Jungle Inferno removed the stun mechanic in its entirety. The baseball, instead of sending the opponent into a flee state, or even stun locking them entirely with enough distance, simply slowed the enemy now, and not by much at all. Along with this, the combo with the cleaver was removed. The flying guillotine now lacked the ability to crit stunned and slowed enemies, and thus, the Sandman cleaver combo is now non-existent, thus making the weapon seemingly useless. Minus 15 health for a ball that barely slows your opponent is not a good trade-off whatsoever, but getting a little bit ahead of myself. Now that we know the climactic tragedy of this unlockable, is it still usable in its current state? Let's head into some games and figure this question out. Okay, so no, the Sandman is not good, but don't leave yet. Besides, you already knew that and you made it this far into the video, so just stick around longer. Please? Playing with the Sandman, there are absolutely several downsides, so let's start off with the obvious. That minus 15 health is actually a lot more impactful than you might think. 15 health? That's chip damage, baby. That's what you might think initially. But that 15 health to an already small health pool is crucial for close quarter combat, which, if you haven't noticed, is kinda Scout's thing. Oh my god, dude. The health pool. The health pool is no good. That 15 health is so necessary. Because if you don't have it, you die to one shot with rockets. You can't get in close range fights with soldiers anymore. This is so sad. That 15 health that seemed somewhat arbitrary before seriously has an impact on your gameplay. Aside from survivability loss, What else is wrong with this wooden piece of garbage? That would be the accuracy. Either I'm bad or it's hard to control this thing, but either way, I couldn't hit anyone to quite literally save my life. Ball after ball after ball kept missing. I'm certain you can get good with it if you spend a lot of time with it, but that's kind of an oxymoron. Spend a lot of time with the Sandman? Yeah, no. I'm not sure anyone is willing to spend several romantic outings with this ball bat to get to third base. See what I did there? It's a baseball joke. Moving on. Another thing is that because TF2 has some sketchy hit registration, the ball doesn't always do damage. That didn't hit? Are you serious? It bounced right off him! Okay. Going in my notes. Hit reg is, hit reg. It doesn't work. Sometimes it doesn't work for the ball, and that's going in the script. Furthermore, something that I learned while playing through this is that you actually have to compensate for this item. Rather than actually having a weapon that would improve your damage output, you have to sacrifice that to compensate for the drawbacks of having less health than normal. What if I use the pretty boy's pocket pistol to try and compensate for the health loss? Now, we're thinking with our brains. Now, to some of you, that's just good game sense, but to me, it's just using morphine to dull the pain. You're still hurt, but hey, now you feel it less. Seriously though, some compensations genuinely need to be made if you're considering using this melee, and sometimes it actually works out. The pocket pistol came in clutch! Oh my god. Oh my god? Yeah, believe it or not, some of the situations this bat forces you in are actually kinda good. It's either that or the pocket pistol is just a good weapon. Probably the latter, right? Right. Speaking of good though, I actually found a use for this weapon. Rather than using it as a personal mercenary slower, use it for your team. Slowing down the enemy can give you just the right opportunity for your team to follow through with a killing blow. While you won't get the credit kill for it, that's one less enemy gamer on the field. Ooh! I actually helped! No way. I'm gonna say that was the slowing effect. So, okay. From what I'm learning, it's a good support weapon. I shouldn't say good, it's a support weapon. Now before actually writing or recording any of this, I hadn't thought it could be used as a support weapon of all things. I've been so stuck in the mindset of it being an item that quote-unquote benefits one person that I never considered how it could help my team. I'm sure there's a joke to be made about the game's name, but I'm not going to give you the satisfaction of hearing it. To make up for that, here's another clip of the Sandman actually being useful. Gets loaded. Yes! I helped again! You see, if I didn't hit that ball, Demo would have gotten away and Pyro couldn't have burned him. Now, just a little side note, this isn't really a positive or a negative, but I found myself unintentionally hitting a lot of random bonks. Like, people I wasn't even aiming for were getting hit. But I guess that goes for any projectile in this game. Oh, I hit someone with what? It's a shame it didn't do anything, but I didn't expect to hit that. That's crazy. None of the hits actually helped, but hey, 15 damage is 15 damage. However, that's actually not a good thing. Scout has several melees that do more damage, and one that actually does the Sandman's job better than the Sandman. I'll let this clip explain. No, not the ball. He hit me with a better weapon! Because it does 35 damage instead of 15! How does a glass ornament do more damage than a leather baseball? With all this being said, what have we learned from all this? Well, the Sandman is indeed a bad weapon. It's unreliable due to hit reg, it's inaccurate, The lower health pool has more of an impact than you'd think, and you have to compensate for the drawbacks it brings. This isn't a good look at all, but hey, it's got a taunt kill, so there's that. Alright, so it's a bad weapon, but how can we fix this? We can't just address the issue without offering a solution, so here's what I propose. First off, let's erase all the stats from this weapon. We're going to be going with a blank slate so we can build this up without interference. Starting off with positives, alt-fire launches a ball at your enemy. I have to specify this because I've seen some reworks that completely changed the concept of the Sandman. Some builds I saw wanted to remove the projectile and give it the ability to knock projectiles back. A scout hitting back rockets sounds overpowered as hell, so absolutely not. Next, we're going to change the slow effect to a percentile based effect rather than just a flat decrease in movement speed. So for good measure, we're going to say that hitting an enemy with a ball will decrease their speed by 50%, with the slowness capping at 150 hammer units per second, or 80 hammer units less than a walking heavy, regardless of class. Normally, each class when slowed is capped at 225 hammer units or about the same speed as a walking heavy, meaning he's not really affected at all. With this percentile change, no class is safe from slowdown, so no mercenary gets the upper hand when it comes to escaping movement penalties. Secondly, for buffs, I want to implement a concussion effect. Basically, when an enemy is hit with a ball, their vision goes blurry and their audio gets muffled for 1 to 6 seconds depending on the distance from the target. Same would go for the slow effect time-wise. While it sounds unfair that your vision would be blurred, imagine it like the Girardi or bleed visual effect. Take that, make it clear. And for shits and giggles, moonshots are back. If you manage to hit an enemy from max distance, you can celebrate with a cheering crowd and have the enemy placed in that familiar flee state, like how the old Sandman had. But keep in mind, that's only at max range. I believe the player should be rewarded for such a shot, so we're bringing it back. Speaking of max range, I believe the ball should mini crit, which sounds crazy, but keep in mind, it only does 15 damage. With a mini crit, it only bumps it up to 20. With those massive 4 buffs, we need some drawbacks to make it fair. And first off, and most importantly, a plus 20% damage vulnerability from all sources when deployed. This isn't a straight dig at Scout for simply equipping the weapon, like the Candy Cane's explosion vulnerability, but it rather incentivizes quick, decisive shots to be made. Choosing your opponent, aiming the ball, and launching it should be one quick motion rather than a long, drawn-out process. So with this new build, you'd have to be quite fast to avoid the punishment. Next, the ball recharge would be increased by 50%, so instead of 10 seconds of recharge, it's now 15. Keep in mind, this bat is already an improvement from its current state in my opinion, so just a few more seconds won't harm much. Plus, I don't see any reason why you couldn't just pick up your ball. So that's staying. And finally, to counteract ball spam, the weapon deploys 25% slower than the stock does. It's not crippling as the atomizer is, but it's still something to take account of, especially with the vulnerability you get from having it drawn. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the new Sandman. Let me know what you think in the comments below. So, here we are, at the end of the video. Didn't expect it to be this long, but here we are. Who knew you could make this long of a video on one TF2 item? Oh, people have already been doing this? There's a series on YouTube called Bad Weapon Academy that does exactly what I just did? Oh well. If you made it this far in the video, I want you to know that I'm more than appreciative for you sticking around. You being here has already made my day so much brighter, and I hope you've done the same for you. But anyway, I won't hold you any longer. Peace.